They were trying to get in. They didn't know I was there. And so it was just a bit of luck. And in the ammo depot, I think one Marine was wounded, and one of the terrorists was killed. Yeah.
Did they get the other ones?
Well, they probably. So they were all relegated to this notoriously bad area called something, which I'll take you to, that you simmer in. They got the torture chambers. What they used to do there, I'll take you to a pub that jetted out over the Thames. You probably saw on the way up there. And they would stake the person on the bank, stake him down, and they'd all sit there drinking their quaffs while the water came up and drowned them. Of course, they also had hanging, drawing, and quartering.
Lovely, yeah, lovely people.
You heard of hanging, drawing, and quartering?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take you to that pub. Well, they used to do, that was quite a event, only for the upper class.
Oh, they were the only ones that got to watch the entertainment?
Oh, yeah. The people would come in with their children and their maids, spread their, and you know how it was done, don't you?
I have an idea.
If you read Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice, they refer to the execution, hanging, drawing, and quartering of a Spanish doctor whom they hated locally, and he was a personal doctor of Her Majesty, Elizabeth I. And so they concocted these lies, and so they gave him a trial. Okay. And what they did, they had ropes around their arms. They had 4 horses. I'll take you to the tree that they did it.
The tree's still there?
The tree is still there in Hyde Park. Yeah. And they would hang the guy until his tongue started swelling out. Then they would cut the rope, and there was a man with a big, thick blade, sharp, and he would cut him down the middle as he fell. So all his intestines came out. This is true. And if he did a good job, people would throw a few coins. Then they would wrap the ropes around the pump on these 4 horses, hit them the same time, and they would all tear off in 4 directions, pulling the corpse apart.
Yeah.
That's hang, drawing, and quartering. And there's a pub right across from the Tower of London, the Bloody Tower. They were, and of course they were beheading them. They beheaded. See, I pay half my pension to my first wife.
Well, Henry
VIII just had his wife beheaded, yeah.
The 2 of them, actually.
Yeah, off with their heads, see, on the block.
He divorced the first wife, because I mean, her nephew was.
Well, the first one now, that was
Catherine of Aragon. Yeah.
Her, you know, her mother and father financed Cristobal Colon,
so
who we call him Columbus. Their name was Colon. He had one daughter who was crazy. They called her Juana Loca, and the other married Henry. But she was kept in a castle up north. I visited years ago, and then when she was buried, she's buried her body in a cathedral in Peterborough. But they chopped her head off.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
After she died.
After she died.
I didn't know
But they
that.
didn't dare execute her while she was alive.
No, or he had too many powerful relatives.
Yeah. And you know, the country's full of that here. If you come to England, I'll take you to the house that still stands untouched where she lived in on the Thames before the marriage took place. And then next to it is the building where Sir Christopher Wren, who built St. Paul's, lived. You can see it across the Thames. It's just mind-boggling.
Well, I'm just amazed that all those places are still there. They haven't.
Yeah, they preserve them, you know, and some are very notorious. And Nell Gwynn, they have a pub after her. She was a notorious harlot.
Oh, okay.
But she was a favorite of the king, so she got by. And in
king's
the alleyway
girlfriend,
you come, I'll take you to the pub, built years ago, and there's a plaque there where a doctor was coming to visit her for a night of fun, and he was stabbed to death, and his money taken from him.
They thought that was.
Yeah, bring your cameras and do a trip of London, which would be something.
Well, you know, when my mom and I was there, you know, they did it at night, and this was in the winter time. But we thought we were going to do the Jack the Ripper tour.
I can take you on that one as
Yeah.
well. But see, if you wanted to, and get a camera crew and you can narrate it, you could do it. No, seriously, it would be something that people would love here, particularly in the schools. But I'm sure the TV studio. So if you want to do that, if you wanted to do a World War II, visit the airfields and so forth, and the English as well. A lot of them are still standing. You want to visit the bomb sites in London, that's available. If you want to visit some of the more notorious, infamous places,
Yeah,
going back to Shakespeare time. Yeah, it's there is one area in London, not London, in England, in Devon, called Slapton Sands that we don't want to talk about.
Okay.
They had a group of soldiers. They came in and took over the area. And the people who had been living there all their lives, some was a little older than me, were moved out. And the Americans there were practicing training for the invasion of Normandy.
Oh.
But, and this is the last story, I can't remember the date, but you can bring it up on, you got a computer?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Slapton, like slap, T-O-N, Sands, Devon. Devon, D-E-V-O-N, Cornwall. And they had a large formation of Navy, American Navy ships, with 2 English destroyers. Well, one developed engine trouble and had to go to, I forget, the nearby port. So they only had this one. The Germans, Deutsch, came over with their boats, something like the
Like Dunkirk?
the craft that JFK, President Kennedy was aboard, torpedo boats.
Oh, okay.
Torpedo boats. They sank these boats, and I think about 1,400 were killed. They had to squash it because if the word got out, it would demoralize the troops. And so they kept it down. But there was a fellow, I had his book and someone bought it and never saw it again. But you can get a copy, I forget his name now. My daughter will find it for me. But he heard these stories. He heard a story from a fisherman whom they thought was a little daffy. And he'd go out of Slapton Sands and he said he saw a tank down below. And they all laughed at him because there was nobody in the area. So to make a long one short, this man got an interest and he was able to attract some divers from a nearby city. They found the tank, they hauled it up and put it on the beach. There is an obelisk dedicated to the people that were forced to move out of the area, but no mention of this. It's all hush-hush. And the daughter sent me, you write your name and address and I'll dig it up and send it. Because you will find it very interesting. And if you come over, we can go there by National Express or we can get a car, old car, a friend of mine get us there. But you will have privilege to one of the most historic but hushed up affairs in World War II. And if you were that interested and you had the time, you could even do a film of it. I'll send you this that she found for me, and you will not find anything. Okay, I got it all right here. And put your phone number too in case something comes up. She sends it to me. And yeah, if you guys have a time, it won't cost you a damn thing to stay with us. You can come and go as you please. I know how to get around on that. Yeah.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. You know, and
Well, how come this is still hushed up? I mean, the war was, you know.
what's that?
How come that it's still hushed up?
They know, the reason I found it, I was taking a group of high school kids around England, and we went to a cemetery which you'll find interesting outside of Cambridge. You love Cambridge and Oxford. I live outside of Oxford. It blow your mind. But yeah, they had a big plaque. They had a wall of remembrance. They even had a plaque dedicated to, who was the band player that went down in the canal?
Glenn Miller.
And so they had all these, and I'll find a copy and send it to you. They had all these Marines. And I said, wait a minute, Marines were not involved with that. There were no Marines involved with that. They didn't want the Marines there because in World War I, the Army, the American Army was making a vast retreat, and the Marines at a place called Bell Woods stood off the Germans and then gave them a chance to recoup, and otherwise we were chased out off the continent. See, of course, the Germans at the time, I remember taking kids there and they said, hey, Mr. Egan, look at this cemetery, this German cemetery. Look, this guy's 15, he's younger than me, this guy's 16. They were down the rock bottom. They didn't even have metal cartridges, they had carbon cartridges. A lot of them had rags wrapped around their feet. The only food they could get is what they could get off a dead body by killing and the ammunition. So they were down at rock bottom, young kids fighting, and almost succeeded in chasing the Americans out, which would have changed the war, see. So if this thing was released, and if you're in Europe and you're floating around, I'll take you to see that cemetery. I'll send you a copy of the names. So I wrote to the historians with the Naval Order, the Marine Corps League and so forth. I never got a response. No one ever answered for me, see. So she brought it up on her, and she brought it over to me this time, and I haven't read it completely. So I'll make a copy and send it to you of the most infamous disaster that ever occurred to us, but we haven't talked about it. So, you know, these are things that if you and your hubby, he is your hubby or your companion.
I'm my hubby.
Well, people are getting, divorcing nowadays, are getting to be partners now. Instead
Why don't you get in there and give him a hug and we'll wrap it up here, but just say thank you.
All right, thank you, Egan.
Yeah, instead of walking in the bedroom and saying, hi, darling, you say, howdy, partner.
Oh, yeah, howdy, partner.
Partner, yeah, it's much more,
We'll keep in touch.
Well, that's actually